Hello, and thank you for joining the webinar today. And thank you to those that are watching this as a recording. We'll be talking about enabling third-party data streams and integration for private equity and what that really means at the end of the day from a business perspective. First off, thank you to those that are our customers, our partners, our employees, friends of the company. We appreciate your partnership. And for those that are just tuning in for the first time, or we haven't had a chance to talk and work yet, thank you for checking us out. We'd love to talk to you more about how we can use data in order to improve operational efficiency, which leads to top line and bottom line growth. This webinar is in a series of other private equity related webinars. And while this is in a series, each one is meant to be watched standalone. So if this is the only one that you're watching, A-okay. If you want to check out some of the other private equity webinars in our series, feel free to check those out on our social media and LinkedIn platforms. When we think of data, especially from a private equity perspective, whether you're a franchisor, you are the PE firm, or you're a portco within a fund, there's no shortage of data that you have access to, and no shortage of data that you'd like to have access to, which really that's driven by the different questions that you have around getting to know your customers better, getting to know that lead to prospect to customer to repeatable customer to even lifetime value of your customers, and understanding that journey so that you can go and more target other similar leads and prospects that do fill up your funnel and turn into repeatable, high value customers across your portco or across your PE fund. So it all comes down to data. Data gets entered in from perhaps a point of sale from a transactional perspective. You're buying ads in order to generate awareness, excitement, drive foot traffic. You have a CRM to track different people, different prospects that you are targeting. Naturally, once those folks become hopefully more than a one-time customer, you naturally ideally turn those into memberships. And the membership naturally has a journey of its own as to how you categorize and reward and incent, maybe even gamify that connection and to build that relationship between you and those customers. Of course, from an employee perspective, you have payroll, you have HR, and then naturally finance that tends to be that initial glue that tries to pull a lot of this different data together so that you get beyond traditional P&L, budget, cash flow statements to really get into that operational intelligence so that you can make better decisions. Finance naturally is a tip of the spear as they go out and try to get access to data, try to wrangle that data and do something with that data to get those insights. And finance has an amazing amount of skill sets and very good talent. They have a very deep insight into how the organization should run. And then they're also trying to get as deep of understanding as to how the organization is actually running at the end of the day. And so finance has a lot of skills in order to go get data, to massage that data, to mash that data together in order to come up with different types of workbooks and report outs. So whether you're in marketing, you're in operations, you're in leadership, or even at an individual store, you're a leader at a store or a location, at the end of the day, to get those people as much insight as possible. But finance can only take things so far at the end of the day. Naturally, what we've just described is a coming together of finance activities and IT activities, these traditional IT activities? Well, in order to empower and enable, whether it's finance or marketing or leadership, to do more without having to build out an expensive IT team, and for you to have to make that decision, do we want to even have an IT team, and how big do we want to have it? Or is there a better route or better option for that? I'm Mike John, been in the data and analytics space for a couple of decades, helping companies and, more importantly, private equity funds and portcos maximize their value by leveraging analytics in order to do so. So that analytics is also that data wrangling that we talked about, and centralizing that data. So going from that data chaos into a more streamlined approach where you have your different operational systems that we just talked about earlier, and then to leverage datalakehouse.io in order to go and connect to all these different sources. And sure, these might be operational systems. They could also be Excel documents that you have. Perhaps they're data dumps that you get from a vendor or from a partner that you have to then take that raw data and mash that up or do something with that data. Well, really, what you want to build from a streamlining perspective is that single source of truth where all of your transactional level data, at least ideally you'd like to get that transactional level data, because once you get that transactional level data, that allows you to essentially ask almost an infinite number of questions, because, hey, we have the raw data at its lowest granular format. Now we can go and ask the questions that we need. Versus if somebody gives you a data dump of, well, here's the total sales by week or by number. And even if it was total sales by product for an individual week, well, you want to break that down into more individual level of understanding of, well, what was the time of day? Is there a pattern at the time of day as to when things are bought? Are there particular members, or are they folks that are just coming off the street as a first-time visit that are buying these different products? And what are our margins on these products, especially if you look at packages? From membership perspective, if you look at a salon and tanning place, a package might offer a combination of products and services, and you need to figure out what is my true margin on these depending upon which package, and then to break out a tanning service for when they actually do redeem that service in their membership, you need to count that accordingly. And so to have that low level of transactional level detail allows you to ask those types of questions and, more importantly, get answers to those questions. So that single source of truth is what then becomes that foundation so that you can do your analytics or BI. You might say, well, analytics and BI isn't the same thing. Well, the best way to think of it is BI will let you look back in time to say, well, what happened? When we say what happened, what were those sales? I, as Mike John, came in. What did Mike buy this week? Or if Mike already has a membership, what did he use of that membership in this given month? And when did he use it? And analytics is looking forward. All right, looking forward from the perspective of, all right, can we predict based upon Mike's membership or buying pattern, what he might be coming in the future? Are there things that we can upsell to Mike? Put him on a higher level membership tier, offer some sort of special deal. Then you think of those prospects that are coming in for the first time, or maybe the first, second, and third time. You have that availability to see, all right, when did they come in? Let's try to get them to come in more often. Let's try to convert them to a membership. And so now you can start to predict and look forward to say, all right, based upon your ratio of second time, third time customers that come in, you should be converting X percent of those customers into a membership. So now you can start to predict what is your membership revenue going to look like. And from a staffing perspective as well, to be able to say, well, if our location or locations are growing, what does that mean from a staffing perspective? Is that staffing a particular time of day of the week? That is up to you, but that's how you're going to use your data in order to make these types of decisions. Because naturally, if you have soft spots of, wow, we're open on Tuesday mornings, traditionally, great. What is some sort of an ad or offering that you can get people to come in during that time frame? Naturally, you're going to be looking at, well, how do we just get net new customers that have never given us a chance or come into our location? How do we get them into the door and entice them with an offering that gets them in the door, but makes them want to keep coming back? And on the flip side, you don't want to have too strong or too generous of an ad where someone now becomes loyal to that ad because it was a potentially a buy one, get one, or is a 50% off on your first visit. That's great, but that puts a lot more pressure on the people that are in that individual location in order to try to convert somebody that's loyal to that's more interested in the offer than they are to your product or service in that instance. So find that happy medium, doing some A/B testing, and also to even focus on particular types of buyers. You have work from home professionals. You might have spousal parents that one works in the home of raising the family while the other one goes to a job. You may have just age demographics and other things that you want to slice and dice and do some A/B testing with your ads. There are lots of different things that you can be doing, but you need to be able to measure what are those full results from action to insight in that whole journey, not just within an individual application. So leveraging what we just laid out is a way to streamline this data integration so that you don't have to build out an IT team in order to do this. Because we don't want to make our finance users data wranglers that have to go and learn all of this code and do all of this code. That's undifferentiated heavy lifting. It's not necessary. Sure, you can do it, but now you're having those finance users spend time working on these activities where they're not spending the time to get the insights to help others make better decisions because they're spent on this nuts and bolt turning that they don't necessarily need to do when they leverage something like datalakehouse.io. We also don't want finance to get to the point of, great, let's have finance kick out a whole bunch of different reports, and especially when you try to give a report to non-financially minded people that are very good customer-facing skills. Perhaps you think of in the medical space where you have nurses and doctors and practitioners and other people that are providing services. You don't want to overwhelm them with the Excel workbook of, here's all the information. Oh my goodness. This is very overwhelming. So naturally, human behavior is to not look at those things and make decisions based upon gut feel, or they look at one sheet of that workbook and say, all right, I'm good. I don't need to look at it anymore because it hurts my head. And I'm just going to go keep running my business. Well, there is a fine line between I have access to all the data, and now I need to get my users to embrace and make better decisions because we have access to that data. So you really want to look at consolidating your data from all your different applications and your systems into that single source of truth by leveraging datalakehouse.io as that consolidation engine so that you can do that analytics, but you can also take that data and feed it to other applications. You might be enriching the data in that single source of truth. You might be pushing that data up for payroll purposes, for bonus purposes, commissions. You could have other third-party, other partners and vendors that you're sharing data with about their experience. Especially if you're a franchisor and you want to share data with other franchisees. Yes, you might have some analytics that you provide, but then you may have some larger franchisees that they themselves are a corporate entity that have many, many locations, and they have a little bit more sophistication, but you're able to add a value-added service and monetize that data by giving access in this additional way of sending that data to them or making it accessible. Because at the end of the day, what you deliver to those, whether it's a an individual portco and the different lines of business. If you're in a franchisee model, to get to those franchisees, or just an individual store owner, give them very focused and actionable information. Present to them, here's what you need to know. Allow them to drill in and find some of those needles in the haystack, but use color, use charts to tell them, here's how you're doing, but here's how you're doing against plan. So that way people know, this is what I need to focus on. This is what I can influence. And that's very important from that end user perspective, so they can continue to make better decisions throughout the organization. So we'd love to get started, have you get started with datalakehouse.io in a very, very short period of time, measured in an hour or so. Get you connected to your data sources, start centralizing your data, and then connect any of your reporting or use Data Lakehouse in order to get those analytic insights. Thank you for attending or watching this webinar. If you have any questions about your data situation, perhaps your data chaos, your opportunity, we'd love to talk to you more. We understand that each individual situation has its uniqueness and things that are unique to you. And that's great. We'd love to be able to talk with you, to share our perspective, and to get you going in the right direction. So feel free to reach out to us. And thank you again for joining and watching. Take care.